Hello and welcome to tomorrow's headlines. Today I'm your host, Robin Cunningham with Fireside Grace Ministries. Very good to see everybody. I'm so happy that y'all are here. And today I have a prophecy fulfilled for you, actually a couple prophecy fulfilled for you. And I've got a bunch of things to go over with our headlines, including Joseph's return home and an update on all of that. So stay with me. We have a lot to share. Welcome back. So I was looking up tomorrow's headlines today on YouTube yesterday to see what all is out there or who's been talking about us and stuff like that. And I found out that somebody did an episode, I think it was Charisma News. They did an episode called Tomorrow's Headlines Today with Chris Green, the prophet Chris Green. I'm sure you've heard of him. And that is not associated with us. They just used our title. I don't know if they know that they did it, if it's just a coincidence, if God's using it for something or whatever. Just want you to know that's not associated with us. It'll be cool, though. Charisma News, Charisma Magazine, stuff like that. It's been around for a while, so I would imagine that they didn't do it on purpose and try and take our name without permission or anything like that, but nevertheless, it did show up. Okay, so let's do Joseph's little update. So Joseph, last week, he got sick, I want to say on Tuesday. It was Tuesday night leading into Wednesday morning. He was throwing up in the middle of the night, and then he started having diarrhea. And he started getting real lethargic and acting like he was in pain to touch. So if you go pick him up or anything, he'd just want to lay down and be resting or be held. And when you pick him up, he'd be really limp and very lethargic, and he would just go, "Help, help," and just like cry, whimper. He wasn't eating or drinking very much at all, and we were trying. We were trying our very best. We ended up taking him to the doctor. Brandy took him at night after we put Asher to bed, and she had already packed bags and stuff because we had a feeling, we were praying and we felt in the spirit that he was going to be there for a while. We prayed obviously for him to be healed, and we believe in healing. We believe that God heals, and we did see him get miraculously healed for sure. But in the meantime, we're not waiting around to watch and see if our son is going to die while we're waiting for healing, because obviously, it turned out to be a good thing. We took him to the doctors. They were very concerned that he was so lethargic and not moving, and his arms would just fall down limp, basically. He couldn't even sit up on his own. It was kind of terrifying as a parent. I'm sure, if you've had parents or you've been parents, you know how it is with these young kids. Well, it turned out that he has rotavirus, but they didn't tell us that until the last day. They didn't even test him for it. That is something that doesn't really affect kids who are older, over like the age of 4 or 5. They get very milder symptoms. And then adults, if it does affect adults, you don't even know, because you get no symptoms or very, very mild symptoms that only last for like a day, and then they go away. And so with Joseph, he was extremely dehydrated. Apparently, he'd been throwing up and having diarrhea to such an extent that it was dehydrating him, caused his thyroid to go low, caused his blood sugar to go down into the 60s, and I think even into the high 50s at one point. And he was just, they tested his blood and saw that he was in severe acidosis, and what was going on was his body could not get the CO2 out of his system through normal respirations. And so they put him on an IV, they admitted him, which was scary for a 1-year-old child to be going through that, getting basically pinned down, swallowed up, pinned down, having an IV stuck in his arm. They missed it the first time, and all the things, traumatizing. Poor kid's sick and doesn't feel good, and all this stuff. Like, he was really, really, really sick, and it was like that for several days. It was very expensive for us to go back and forth to the hospital, and we still had our first of the month bills to pay, which is, by the grace of God, we made it to the first of the month to pay our first of the month bills, and now we're trying to recuperate from all the other stuff. But y'all have been a blessing sowing into us, and we greatly appreciate it. So after about 5 or 6 days of being in the hospital, on probably day 4, he spiked a big fever. I want to say that was Sunday night. He started to convulse in his sleep like he was having a seizure, but he wasn't having a seizure because he could cry. But he was just shaking and convulsing. And so they came in. They didn't do anything for it at first because he was convulsing, but they checked his temperature, and he didn't appear to have a temperature according to the thermometer. So we kept watching him, and he kept shaking. So eventually they came in and gave him Motrin and checked his temperature again, and it was 100.8 or 100.1. That was on his head. If they were going to do an internal temperature, it would have been over 101 or higher. It's usually a degree or so higher internally. And so they gave him the Motrin or Tylenol. Eventually, his fever broke. He went through that whole day. He had been taking great strides the day before, was eating a little bit, was drinking a little bit of his bottle, seeming to feel a little bit better. So they took out that IV in case he was overhydrated, and they gave him the Tylenol, and he just stayed awake basically the entire day, didn't feel real well, went back to being lethargic and sleepy and limp and saying, help, help. I sent out a message to a bunch of people asking for prayer. Some of them, our prayer partners, Dan, Tyler, all the people. Sorry if I missed your name. We sent a message out to Manuel Johnson and a couple other people, and everybody started to pray. And at that moment, when they started to pray, Joseph fell asleep. He fell asleep for 2 hours. And then Brandy and Asher came back in the room, and Joseph woke up. He had just been woken up by the nurse to come in and take his vitals because they don't let people sleep in that hospital. Hey, sleep helps you get better. But they have a job to do, I understand. But can't you just let a baby rest? Come on, man. So he gets up after the 2 hours of everybody praying, and he's right back to normal. Eating, drinking, feeling better, playing, all this stuff. Everything's great. And then the next day, he gets up, no IV. He's eating, he's drinking. He only had one blowout diarrhea poop diaper, and he passed his swallow study for the first time. He had failed every swallow study before that. He passed it with no issues, no problems, no aspiration, nothing going down into the lungs or anything. Before, he had shown that there was a spattering of stuff in his lungs, whatever that's called, diffuse findings or something like that, where that could very easily turn into pneumonia. Well, when he was having those convulsions, Brandy had him redo a whole workup, and that's when they decided to test him for rotavirus. Why wouldn't you test for that in the beginning? I guess there's a vaccine for rotavirus. We didn't know about that. But we do now. Day late and a dollar short. Maybe Brandy did, but I didn't. But anyway, they went and they did a new chest x-ray on him. They came back and said the x-ray was clear. There were no diffuse findings, nothing. Everything, his fever, his diarrhea, everything, after he fell asleep for that 2 hours while y'all were praying, everything completely went away. Everything. Even his eczema cleared up. But now that we've come home, it's come back. So it might be an environmental eczema, so to speak. So we got discharged. We came home Tuesday afternoon instead of coming home Sunday or Monday night like we were hoping to. Came home Tuesday afternoon. And he is running around, playing, eating, drinking, no diarrhea. Everything is back to how he was before, if not better than how he was before, except he's a little clingy now, and a couple times he's woke up crying, no, 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 when he's in his room, which we believe is because he was kind of traumatized by having nurses come in his room and checking his vitals it felt like every 45 minutes at times, but it should be like every 2 hours or so. and sticking him with needles and just kind of forcing medicine on him and stuff, you know. So he's getting past that trauma now, and he's doing good. He's going back to sleep on his own and all kinds of great things. So thank you guys. It's been a huge blessing. And that's your update on him. But now let's get into the tomorrow's headlines today. So first thing, I had said that Kari Lake was going to be headed to the United States Supreme Court, and that's all I'll say about that. She just said either yesterday or today she's taking her case to the United States Supreme Court. And so let's see how that works out. I also previously had spoken about Joe Biden falling for a third time and mentioned that that was a 3 times you're out kind of deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the prophecies as the Lord gave them to me, and in the midst of those prophecies, give you the prophecy fulfilled. So you have to watch through the entire episode for the prophecy fulfilled, okay? All right. And you're going to want to hear it because it's important. Here's all the information to partner with us if you want to help us recover from this hospital crisis, this emergency, or sow into our ministry in any way, shape, or form. Help us take care of the homeless, single moms, and everything that we do. Thank you for sending us the love packages for the homeless people. We do have someone that we're going to take those to for their homeless outreach program. All right, so let's get into the headlines. Number 1, the Lord said there will be people mocking Christians, claiming, somewhat jokingly, that COVID was created by God. So that's why Christians won't take the stick, because if God made it, then they shouldn't take the stick. And some people will even joke and say, well, they deserve to die if they're not going to take it. And it's very rude, but make no mistake, God is not mocked. Around the same time we start to see this catching on and being talked about as a joke on the mainstream media, news, your YouTube reels, comedians, and stuff like that, new evidence is going to arise that will show that this is not made by God at all, but and that it was not a natural metamorphosis. It was not a supernatural production either. It was a natural production. And that's all that I have to say about that. It will be revealed that our government, the United States government, is hiring witches to pray over government agencies and to pray curses over foreign leaders and even over people in this country, that they're actually paying witches to pray against our own politicians and against the kings and queens and parliament members and prime ministers worldwide and so forth, premiers, all kinds of things, okay? I saw a couple things about China. So first, the Lord showed me a ceiling collapsing over the U.S. Congressional building. I didn't know what that ceiling was, if it was the debt ceiling, if it was a physical ceiling, or if it was just something, the Lord saying that things are about to be exposed, and so he's going to remove the ceiling so that there will be open visibility into what's going on behind the scenes in the Congressional building. A couple things about China. I saw a nuclear incident in China where they had shut down a nuclear power plant. They had to shut down this power plant, like there was a meltdown coming or something like that, and so they had to shut it down in order to save that, like, an entire section. I felt like it was like a southern-ish section. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not west or something, but it was like southern. I don't know. I felt like it could affect like Korea or something. I'm not sure, but it was in China. All right, and so there's that. And then I also saw that Chinese planes would shoot at an American aircraft, claiming that it was over Chinese airspace. And that would be a pretty volatile situation that we need to pray about. Now, here is what I had prophesied about Joe Biden concerning Biden falling again, and this was June 1st of 2022. So this is last year. I want to say it was June 1st of 2022. I don't remember. It was after he had already fallen at Rehoboth, right? So I asked the Lord. This is what I had written down. Okay, so this was June 1st. I'm not sure exactly what this one was called, but I think it was pertaining to returning to the gold standard or something like that. This January of 2023. I don't remember. It was June 1st of 2020. No, not June 1st of 2023. I'm not sure exactly when I put this out, but y'all will be able to find it. Because I opened it, it's saying June 1st of 2023, but it was like a few months ago I put this out. But anyway, what I said was, this was concerning Biden falling again. I said, I asked the Lord what scripture he wanted me to share with everyone, and I very clearly heard Proverbs 24:17, which says, do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and do not let your heart be glad when he stumbles. And this was a twofold message. One, you will see Biden fall again, and two, you will see him fall and be removed from office. And this is going to go down for a little bit, and when it stops here is I'll get down to a passage from Revelation and the book of Numbers, and then I'll say this is where the prophecy ends, okay? But was a long prophecy. So before I received this word, I was praying and saw through the eyes of the current inhabitant of the White House, which was Biden, and he was talking to someone. He was saying that he didn't feel well. His head started to spin, and his eyesight got blurry all around the edges. I saw black and had a terrible feeling that I would die and that we should pray for him. So I was seeing through his eyes. Then I asked the Lord, what verse would he have me share after writing this vision down? And he said to me very clearly, Ezekiel 22, verses 1 through 5, that says, moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, now, son of man, will you judge? Will you judge the bloody city? Yes, show her all her abominations. Then say, thus saith the Lord, the city sheds blood in her own midst, that her time may come, and she makes idols within herself to defile herself. You have become guilty by the blood which you have shed, and you have defiled yourself with the idols which you have made. You have caused your days to draw near, and have come to the end of your years. Therefore I have made you a reproach to the nations, and a mockery to all countries. Those near and those far from you will mock you and mock you as you mock you and mock you as infamous and full of tumult. The word infamous means to be known for bad qualities, wicked or abominable, and tumult means disorderly agitation, riots, commotion, violent uprisings, uproar, and confusion. So I didn't know exactly what tumult meant and why the Lord wanted me to share that, but I did anyway. But I had a sense that there could be riots and a great uproar, that something very disturbing, whether for the good or bad, was about to happen at the time that Joe Biden fell again. And I believe that I had mentioned, at least in private to some people, maybe I said it on private, but it was a 3 strikes, you're out, bye-bye Biden kind of deal. All right, so I felt led to ask the Lord one more time for a verse, and he gave me Revelation 22:14 and 15, which says, blessed are those who do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life, and may enter through the gates into the city. But outside are dogs and sorcerers and sexually immoral and murderers and idolaters and whoever loves and practices a lie. And the Lord pointed out that if you add the numbers 22, you get 4, and 14, you get 5. So you get 45, right? And if you do the same with 22, 1 through 5, you get 4 and 6. So you get the numbers 45 and 46, right? So I thought that was interesting because I had prophesied this several months ago or a year ago or whenever it was. We'd have to go back and look. But I had prophesied this, and the Lord was saying that he was going to die and that the city was going to come under judgment at the same time that he told me that he was going to fall a third time. So this is a prophecy fulfilled, and we know what's going to be coming in the near future. And so before I even went back and read this, the Lord said to me that he was going to pass away, and I actually started to cry, and I started to plead with God to save Joe Biden, to bring him to repentance and bring him to know him as Lord and Savior. And I didn't rejoice that he fell. I didn't laugh that he fell. I was extremely sad watching an old man fall hard to the ground. And I just feel like we need to pray for him because he doesn't have much longer. This was months ago before this ever happened, when he said, 3 strikes, you're out. Bye-bye, Biden. So we need to pray for him. We know what's coming next. Another thing, the whole Carrie Lake issue is coming up that I had prophesied. Carrie Lake's stuff is going to be kicked out of Arizona. She's going to take it to the SCOTUS. That's all that I can say about that. I'm not allowed to say much more because the Lord told me that people watch this stuff and they go and act on these prophecies because they know that they will come to pass. So they use them to counteract what's coming. So I am not allowed to share anything on that with you other than what I've shared previously. Okay, moving on. That was the end of the prophecy fulfilled. Now, the Lord said that there is a financial turnaround coming for America. It's not right now, but soon. Okay? Next, I saw a vision of fire on water, and there was just black oil everywhere on the water, and the water was on fire, and it just wasn't going out. And the Lord said, pray against oil spills and subsequent explosions that would follow afterwards. All right? Now, next, the Lord said, America is passing its final test. America is displaying to God and to the world that we, the people, are not represented by our government that is in power. We do not agree with the agendas nor the propaganda that they keep pushing on the people and the world. Because the people of America have shown their values to be in line with biblical definitions, the Lord has granted grace and mercy to this nation for the next few years. Now, let there be a sustained outcry for righteousness, justice, and God's will. I'm doing, and I'm not sure exactly what I was trying to say here because it autocorrected to I'm doing this, America will prosper yet a while longer. So maybe that was the Lord speaking through me and I didn't realize it, saying I'm doing this, America will prosper yet a while longer. Okay, so the Lord is doing this, and America is going to prosper for a while. However, when the world chooses a king instead of God, they will indeed receive their Shaul. What they ask for, they shall receive. All right, the Lord said that Putin will be removed from office very soon. Though his successor may seem cunning, charming, and a better fit for the needs of the Russian people, even demonstrating a willingness to work with America, he is nefarious and will be a greater threat to world stability than even Putin has been. Okay, next. At the same token, the Lord showed me that Zelensky was going to be gone as president in Ukraine. I don't know if it's going to be before the end of his term or if he's going to step down or what's going to happen. But here's what the Lord said. Ukraine's new president will arise. She will bring forth reform, freedom, liberation, and reconciliation. Now, here's one concerning Australia. The Lord said liberal actions that were taken by the illegal actions, my phone auto-corrected to illiberal, illegal actions taken by the Australian government during the 2020 and 2021 lockdowns will be exposed. Reparations will be paid to those who were illegally detained and imprisoned during that time. And then last but not least, the Lord showed me that Schumer will be facing assault charges from various whistleblowers, and he will eventually resign over these allegations. Okay, well, that is all that I have for the Tomorrow's Headlines today. Remember to like and subscribe, share with all of your friends and your family, get the word out, and I hope that y'all are blessed and have a good day. I will see you on Friday at 8 o'clock at night, and we will be doing another Q&A, so make sure you show up with your questions prepared. I will most likely not be answering questions about crypto stuff because the Lord has not been sharing with me about crypto stuff recently, so I'm sorry, but you can bring those questions if you want to. I just can't promise you that the Lord will say anything to me unless it's in the moment and on the spot. But you have your questions ready. Pop them in the comment section when I start the Q&A tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central. All right? I love you guys. Be blessed. Sow into the ministry. Like and subscribe. Share with your friends and family. Get the word out. And I will see you next time. Until tomorrow, bye.